comments, Commissioner Storley,
And
you
if they
have?
recommend it, that's what I do. I'm sorry.
First off, we'd like to thank everyone who applied for the Planning and Zoning Board. The interview team consisted of Commissioner Schultz, Attorney Yant, and myself. We had a competitive process. Each person was scored during the interview process. And I'd like to make a motion on behalf of the interview committee to recommend the County Board of Commissioners appoint Jim Weiser and Glenn Cruz to the Planning and Zoning Board.
I'll second it.
Okay, we've got an issue. Glenn Cruz, if I'm not mistaken, the term limits are up.
Correct.
So why can he be reappointed to the Planning Commission?
Because he can be.
No, he can if his term limits are up.
Yes, he can
He
be.
operates at the discretion of the board.
He operates at the discretion of the board. So we have, okay, so that makes zero sense at all. So we have in our rules that you can only run so many years and so many years consecutively, correct?
Do you want to go out
Policy.
and read it, Justin?
Yeah, so it's a policy, right? So the policy is what, 3 3-year terms, correct?
3 3-year terms.
And he's done that.
Right.
So then it says, okay, so you've done 3
At our
3-year terms.
discretion, we can reappoint him.
Read that again,
And
because
And he
what I remember
interviewed-
when I made a motion on that was 3 3-year terms, and you have to sit out a term before you can get reappointed.
Right.
No,
Okay?
it's-
So he's not sitting out that term.
No.
It's at the
Okay, so
discretion.
you guys are violating your own policy.
No,
No.
if
Well,
we go
you are.
back-
You just said that
I
it says in
tried
there that it
get
has to
to
sit
the
out one term, and
policy.
you're not sitting out a term. That makes zero sense.
Judy, are you looking it up?
I'm trying to
Okay.
get to it right now.
While you're looking that up, I guess my only concern then is on the Weiser side, I've got a little bit of a concern. And here's the concern. Teresa called one of the other candidates and told him not to run because
I
Mr.
did
Weiser
not.
was there.
Do you know
did.
something?
And then Judy, we know that you're good family friends
I
with the
never told
Weisers.
him
So then
not
I got
to.
to question if this was done equally. Teresa, I had a call from one of the individuals.
I did not tell him not to run. In fact, I had his application in my hand.
Let me call him real quick.
And he actually should have been
Justin.
interviewed.
That's enough.
Justin,
No,
that's
it's not
enough.
enough. Guys,
should
I got
have
to
been
question this. This board is absolutely unbelievable when it comes to certain things. You don't follow policies. You don't want to look out for the taxpayers. And now you told an individual who called me
I don't
and
know
talked
why
to me
he-
and said that you said that he shouldn't recommend because you're personally recommending somebody else.
I did recommend the person from Hoka Township that their board recommended to me. I don't know Mr. Weiser at all.
But that's fine. But what I'm saying
All
is
I
it
did is
seems a
take
little
what
bit
the
suspicious
township
that
recommended.
you didn't want to have this other individual apply. You said, oh, I've already appointed somebody, which is not your role, is to just
I did not
personally
tell him I
appoint.
appointed somebody because I cannot appoint somebody. I can recommend
But-
somebody.
But you told us 3 weeks ago that you thought
But
it was
that's
your
why I
job to
backed
appoint
off the
somebody.
interview, not only because my father had a stroke, but because I was seen as being biased. So I did not even get part of the interview. But Mr., I'm presuming you're talking about Mr. Bingers or something,
Visker.
Bisker, and he had his application in. He should have been interviewed.
He was
He
He
interviewed.
was interviewed, but what I'm saying is there's been,
I had nothing to do with this
and
choice.
that's fine, that's fine. But what I'm saying is things seem a little fishy. When
But they
it starts
shouldn't
smelling
seem
bad,
fishy because I
probably
backed
is.
off so it wouldn't be fishy.
Okay, all right.
Totally.
So-
And I
Do you
don't
know-
know any of those people. Mr. Bingers or Mr. Weiser, I just brought my recommendation because I met with the Hoka board and the Brownsville board, and his was an application put in that he was willing to serve. That's the only reason I recommended him, but we didn't go with that anyway. We didn't vote on it, nothing. So I should not be seen as biased.
Okay.
And I got
I
an issue
personally
with this
think-
whole thing myself. Why is it, how did you get to be on the committee to pick planning and zoning? I've been on it for 3 years, and nobody asked me to interview. This is the first time I've even
Judy.
heard of these guys.
Judy's the only
Why
district that
wouldn't
doesn't
you have
a
the guy who's
person.
been on planning and zoning for 3 years be part of these candidates? Who can be on our planning and zoning board? I am ticked off, totally ticked off.
Judy's district doesn't
That
have
was a
anybody on
blind
planning
side.
commission.
I've been blindsided before, you've been good at that before. It's fun to blindside me.
It was not a blind side.
How did you how did this committee get put together? I thought we were gonna bring them all in and interview them, or at least
No.
get their.
No,
No, we were not.
that was not
I thought
what we
we talked
talked about at all.
Why wasn't I on it? why does
What,
my
into
opinion,
volunteer?
why does my opinion mean nothing to you guys? Doesn't three years on planning and zoning mean anything, and 6 years with the city planning and zoning mean anything? This is Travis.
Chuck, can you pull it up for me? I can't get to the right part of the zoning.
You looking for the ordinance?
Yeah.
On the ordinance.
Where it says,
It talks about term limits. So can you read that, Char?
Sure. It says, the term of office is 3 years and may be continued in 3-year terms at discretion of the board.
Yep. Now, I'm going to question that that was even written right, because the motion that I had made when that first went into play was that it was 3 3-year terms and you must sit out 1 year.
It does say these are at the discretion of the board.
Okay. Now, regardless, that means nothing. Regardless of how that's written, if you're going to allow somebody to run 3 3-year terms and then reappoint them when you just had, what, 6 or 7 applicants, right? I guess the question was, it say that you have 6 people from the outside wanting to get a chance to be on this, and you're just going to keep reappointing those that are currently on that.
no, we're going to get the best qualified people to be on it. And that's exactly what we did. We had questions that were rated, they were answered, everybody's answers were rated by 3 of us. It wasn't a fixed thing at all.
Right, but then you say you want the best candidate that you can get. So then why is Glenn being re-upped when you had other candidates available?
Because he put in an application for an interview the same as everyone else
And
did.
so his qualifications were that he was on the board for 9 years, so he trumps anybody trying to get on
that
the board
wasn't,
anyway.
that had no
No.
ranking
No.
whatsoever.
Really?
No. If you care to go over everything,
He ranked
feel
better.
free. He ranked
Well,
higher.
guys, there's a reason there's term limits being put in place. There's reasons that the board did what they did, and now you want to go back and undo?
I go back and think that the 3-year term limits may have been a mistake.
Oh, God, no. You got to
Loss
be kidding me,
of
Steve.
experience-
You have,
loss
how
of
many people did you
experience.
have in front of us at a public hearing that we were talking about term limits? I mean, it is absolutely
Right.
asinine how you guys ignore what people's sentiment is. It is unbelievable.
No,
and then
it's-
you go out and purposely want to. I mean, you guys don't like controversy. You don't like me getting on your case. You don't like people writing things in the paper. You don't like these bad things. But you continue to make bad decisions. This is
It's
another
not a
bad decision.
It's
It is
not
not.
a bad decision. We
It's not a bad
spent-
decision. It's not
No,
a bad
it's
decision.
not.
So you're going to
You
slap all these
have
other
to-
people in the face and say you're never
know
going to get a
what?
chance because we're just
That-
going to continually re-up people? That's why we did term limits. Otherwise,
Call the question.
no, Steve, you are
Enough.
flat out wrong. Flat out wrong.
Enough.
No, it's
Enough.
not enough.
Call
so
the
you're
question.
you're gonna go and take these people that want to be on the board and say you're never going to get a chance because we're just going to continually re-up people because they're going to always have more experience than you. That's what
Make
you're
a
doing,
motion,
Steve.
we go into recess.
Motion to go into recess. Why would we need to go into recess?
There's a
We
second.
need to.
Because you
I'll
can't
second
handle
it.
controversy. You can't handle
There's a
arguments.
second.
I second it.
Discussion.
You can't handle an argument.
All of those in favor say aye.
No, this will be
We're
a
in
roll
recess.
call
We're in
vote. I
recess
call for
the
roll
next
call.
1 hour.
Steve,
One
roll.
hour. 1 hour.
Wow, unbelievable. Dan, you getting this?
A motion to reconvene.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed nay. We are reconvened.
I just have some information that we can kind of resolve this issue here pretty quick because the minutes, October 29th, 2013, talks about when it was approved. for that change, and it said, it was clarified that there be no specific application form provided by the county in this regard. Motion was made by Commissioner Walter, seconded by Commissioner Storley, and unanimously carried to adopt the following. Terms of office, filing vacancy, and the board removal from office. Members of the commission, Planning Commission, shall serve at the pleasure of the County Board of Commissioners. Planning Commission shall consist of 7 members, 1 each from the 5 districts. 1 member at large from any district, and 1 commissioner. Then it goes on and says, the term of office is 3 years and may be continued for 3 years for a maximum of 3 consecutive terms equaling 9 years, and are required, this is the key part, and are required to sit out for 1 full term before reapplying for position. That's what was on
I'll
there.
read the next
Yep.
line.
Yep.
These limits are at the discretion of the county board.
Right. So what I'm saying is, this is what's officially there, okay, that was kind of being run over. Now, if the board wants to go against that, we better have good reason. And part of it is, you have 3 individuals that their term limits had expired. And they were told, thank you for your service, your term limits have expired. They were not given the opportunity to reapply, and they were told that they couldn't. And even down here, it talks about members exceeding 9 years of service shall be replaced upon expiration of the appointed term. In 2014, this will affect a single planning commission member. So it was already done in those regards. We've already set precedents. So the question then is, why now? Why now do we want to go against our precedents when we have 6 other applicants? So that's the question that I have, is it's just the consistency in which things are being done. It's in the minutes that it was voted to be done a certain way, that you'd have to sit out. And if the board wants to do that, we better have very, very good reasons why. That's all I'm saying.
We had very fair interviews. We
Yep.
did everything we could to interview fairly. And my motion's on the floor, and it has a second, and I'm calling for the vote.
But before we can call for the vote, it needs to be done. Otherwise, it's going to have to be tabled. And table does not require a vote, and a tabling is not negotiable. So then, therefore, I would table it until next week when we can get this clarified, because there is not a good reason why you would go after another planning commission member to be reappointed when you did not give the opportunity to the other 3
We
planning
didn't
commission
go
members.
after
No,
anybody.
we picked.
But
We
it
were
shouldn't have been
given-
allowed. It shouldn't have been allowed, because you didn't allow that same process to be held for
Just
the
in
other
one minute,
3.
you're saying we're going after them, and the next we're in. Did any of the other 3 put in an
Well,
application?
I have reasons to believe, because of the individuals that were selected, you have 6. You don't have anybody from Caledonia Township being represented, even though that was the goal, is to have 1 person from each district, and there was
There's
2
not one
applicants
from
from
my
Caledonia.
district either.
Right, but there's 2 from Caledonia that applied and were not overlooked. So the question is,
They weren't.
We chose the
we
best members.
chose the best members.
Right.
but I can't believe that. You have one of
Do
them
you
that I
know-
know of that was an attorney that I would think would supersede a lot of
Really?
the other experience. Yep.
Okay, well,
So-
that's your opinion, and I
Well,
guess,
I don't think that's an opinion, it's kind of a fact. You
No,
either,
it's-
you either are or
In the
are
interview,
not.
in the interview
I'm
process.
calling for a vote, and I can call for the vote.
Okay, just know that there's potential for violations that I'm just saying, this could reflect very badly, and I'm just giving you a warning. You don't like it when things blow up in your face.
Excuse
and
me,
This is really
Attorney
going down the
Yant?
wrong
We're calling, the
road.
vote has been called for. And the nominees, okay, why don't you give them again? We have-
It's already down, it's
Okay, we've got them in.
in the
Okay.
rules.
Why don't we reread those?
Jim Weezer and Glenn Curtis.
Okay, and who was all being considered? I'd like to know that, just so for the public, so we know who was all being considered.
I don't
Who was all
know,
interviewed?
I don't know if we can, I don't
Tess, maybe
know
you
what's
could answer
private or
that
not.
for the applicants.
Let me have counsel.
Sure.
Let counsel respond.
Want to restate that question one more time so I can be accurate?
The question is, are we allowed to give names for those that applied for this position?
The person that accepted interviews and that did appear for interviews, yes.
Okay. Who appeared for interviews?
Do you want to read them from the packet that I gave you? Do you still have it?
There was a Yvonne Krogstad, a Ken Bisker, a David Schultz, Brian Van Gorp, Glenn Cruz, James Weiser, and Linda Riddle.
Linda what?
Riddle, R-I-D-D-L-E.
So is it possible those 6 people have certain political affiliations that were not wanted to be on this planning commission?
Absolutely not.
Okay, there's 6 people, all share the same common goal, and one individual does not. And I'm questioning whether or not it was really fair or not, because it's weird that you have 6 people that stand on one side of an issue, one that doesn't. We need to fill 2 spots, and instead of selecting somebody from the pool of applicants that did not serve on the planning commission prior, you chose to redo this, saying that you don't have to sit out anymore, and we'll just appoint you. I mean, that's why I say it
No.
smells a little
Absolutely.
They
fishy.
were all
Do you know
scored. They were
something?
independently.
We were independently scored. Everyone got a
Yes.
fair interview.
All right, let's settle this once and for all. If those 2 are truly the cream of the crop,
Yep,
then let Dane and I interview them. And if that comes out, we will also see that and
Absolutely
be fair.
not.
Why not?
We've been through
But
We've
if
been
they're
through
the
this.
best, why
Teresa
would you
tried
worry?
to
It's
appoint
just
like
for
we
you.
did before you
Well,
put her
Teresa
down.
just said a few minutes ago that she's not to appoint.
That's not what I'm saying, Justin.
just
It's
said it.
just, I said, Teresa tried to appoint before and you put her down. So we went through the most fair
I know,
possible interview
but an hour ago, I
process.
just questioned that, and Teresa said, no, I didn't appoint somebody.
I can't appoint somebody. I
But
can
I'm
recommend.
calling-
somebody.
I'm
I
calling for the
recommend
But
question.
see
somebody.
Call
what
for
it is?
the
It's very
question.
inconsistent. It's very
Roll
inconsistent.
call.
Call for the question.
I just.
Yeah, and it's roll call.
Roll call,
Roll call.
please.
District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
Absolutely not.
District
Yes.
3, District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
No.
Motion
Okay.
carries.
Just forewarn, this is going to come back to bite you as usual. I warn you.
Okay. We go into closed session next.